Welcome to AI ConvoCast, where we bring you the latest in AI and tech innovation. Please don't forget to rate, review, and share if you like what you hear. Let's jump right in.
Today, we will be covering Anthropic's release of Claude Fable 5 to the public, Apple finally unveiling its rebuilt Siri AI at WWDC, a malware attack targeting Microsoft's open source repos used by AI developers, and Lovable hitting $500 million in annualized revenue from Vibe coding. Starting with the biggest release of the week, Anthropic launched Claude Fable 5, the first broadly available version of its previously restricted Mythos class model family. Up until now, Mythos was something Anthropic treated as too capable for general release, walling it off to approved organizations. Fable 5 changes that. It's available through the Claude API and consumption-based enterprise plans, with staged subscription access through June 22nd before moving to usage credits the next day. Anthropic also launched Claude Mythos 5 for organizations that already had clearance. The model is aimed at software engineering, knowledge work, and vision tasks, but Anthropic is putting hard guardrails around high-risk areas. Anything touching cybersecurity, biology, chemistry, or model distillation will be blocked outright or routed back to Claude Opus 4.8. Pricing lands at $10 per million input tokens and $50 per million output tokens, which is roughly double Opus 4.8. And there's a notable policy shift. Anthropic is requiring 30-day traffic retention for Fable 5 and Mythos 5, even for customers who previously had zero retention agreements. The company says that data is for attack detection and reducing false positives, not training. But it's still a trade-off enterprise buyers will weigh carefully. Early reactions have been strong. Rakuten said, "The extra thinking pays for itself," which is the kind of practical sign-off enterprise buyers actually care about. Ethan Mollick, who tests these models constantly, said Fable outperformed basically every other public model he had used. TechCrunch pointed to one, prompt games and long-running builds, as evidence that the floor for what non-technical users can ship is rising fast. Fable 5 is also live on Amazon Bedrock and the Claude platform on AWS. Moving over to Apple, which used WWDC 2026 to finally show off Siri AI, the rebuilt assistant it's been promising for 2 years. The new Siri is more conversational, more visually aware, works across apps, and even has its own standalone app. Apple is leaning hard on its privacy story, with on-device processing and private cloud compute doing the heavy lifting. Craig Federighi summed up the pitch by saying, "Privacy in AI is non-negotiable." Here's the tension, though. Multiple reports confirm that Google's Gemini is part of the underlying architecture powering parts of Siri AI. So Apple is publicly framing this as its answer to ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini, while quietly depending on one of those same rivals to get there. Apple did clarify that iOS 27 isn't directly using Gemini apps or Google client-side code, and Ars Technica reported that Siri AI taps web world knowledge through private cloud compute and chooses app actions to complete tasks. Axios had the sharpest framing. Apple may have finally delivered what users expected back in 2024, but competitors have already moved well past assistants and into full agents. It's a catch-up release dressed as a flagship moment. Switching gears to a security story that hits right where AI development is heading, Microsoft temporarily cut off access to dozens of open-source GitHub projects after hackers injected password-stealing malware. TechCrunch found at least 70 Microsoft projects were disabled, many of them related to Azure and developer tools commonly pulled into AI coding apps like Claude Code, Gemini's command line interface, and VS Code. The attack is designed for the new AI coding workflow. When a developer opens one of these compromised tools inside an AI assistant that can read files, run commands, and touch credentials, the malware can quietly steal passwords and sensitive secrets. Cloudsmith and open-source malware were among the first to flag it, and open-source malware reportedly described the incident as a possible recompromise of a project called Durable Task, which suggests this isn't a one-off. Microsoft spokesperson Ben Hope said the company temporarily removed some repositories during the investigation and notified a small number of customers who may have pulled affected content, though Microsoft wouldn't give a total number of impacted users. The takeaway for developers is uncomfortable. Agentic coding tools expand the blast radius of ordinary supply chain attacks because the assistant itself has hands-on access to your environment. Finishing up with Lovable, which is putting real numbers behind the vibe coding trend. The company told TechCrunch it has crossed $500 million in annualized revenue run rate, up from around $400 million in February, with users creating 1 million new projects every week. Lovable says more than 50 million projects have been built on the platform so far. What makes the growth notable is who's building. TechCrunch reports Lovable's users are largely non-technical founders, designers, and salespeople, and they're increasingly shipping software meant for actual business use, things like CRMs, storefronts, inventory systems, HR tools, and customer-facing websites. That's a direct shot at traditional SaaS vendors, because instead of buying a tool, users are generating one that fits their exact workflow. The open question is maintenance. AI-generated apps are easy to spin up, but dependencies, security patches, and long-term upkeep are still unsolved problems, and 1 million new projects a week is a lot of code with no clear owner once the initial prompt is done.
Thank you for listening to AI Convo Cast. Please don't forget to rate, review, and share if you like what you hear. Thanks and hope to see you again next time.